role that you guys as parents have in addressing some of the ankle weights that your athlete may be feeling, in some ways being a part of, but more importantly, being a solution to those things is a really big one. It's a really big role that you guys play in that. Obviously, you are shaping them from who they are as people all the way growing up. And in a lot of ways, the ankle weights that they feel are some of the ways that you have conversations with them about how sports relates to their life will oftentimes shape how a lot of that goes. And so as parents, I highly encourage you to be thinking about the ways that you are interacting with your athlete in regards to sports. The conversations that you have and the way that you phrase things are really important. Even the fact that you are clicking on this video to watch it tells me that you are probably all in on trying to be every bit of a part of the solution and trying to make it so your athlete has a great experience in sport. But here are just a couple of things that you can look out for. So if anything that you have, any conversation that you have with an athlete, with your athlete, has anything to do with making them feel like their performance in a game affects the way that you feel about them, obviously that's not something we want to have. Now, can athletes, your athlete better than anybody else, can they handle a little bit of, the tough love when it comes to sports? Probably yes, and that's nobody knows that better than you as far as where that line is with your athlete. But I just highly encourage you to make sure you're looking out for, hey, does that athlete feel like when they go to the baseball field or when they go to a practice or whatever, their performance there, their successes or their failures will affect the way that I feel about them as my athlete, as my child. Obviously, really, that's a pretty heavy thing to say, but at the end of the day, and unfortunately, that is something we see a decent amount, just kind of something that sits below the surface, which is, hope I don't strike out here because I wonder what mom or dad will think. I mean, I know that's a hard thing to hear, but it is something that we hear a lot, and so I would regret not saying that hopefully you're just thinking about any way in which you give off that impression to your athletes. Obviously, if they're a part of the recruiting process, which we talked about in the video, that's a really exciting but stressful time, and it can be stressful for you guys as parents as well. We understand that. Just trying to make sure that a lot of the ways that you are interacting with your athlete is nothing but supportive the entire time, because they are going to feel that pressure. That's really, largely inevitable in a lot of ways. They will feel some of that stress and that pressure to perform if it's part of the recruiting process. But just being constantly supportive of them through that is really, really important. And then, the last part, which is the most common one that I see, which is the identity piece in sports. If you've placed a certain emphasis in your household on their performance, similar to what we talked about before, they may start to internalize that as a baseball player or an athlete is who I am. That's my place in the world, or my value to the people around me is that of an athlete. And if that phrase is something that rings true, you can tell that rings true for your athlete, talk to them about that. Talk to them about that and make sure they understand all of the ways in which they are valued way above and beyond who they are as an athlete. Because at the end of the day, this is about performance. And so everything that I talk about here in these videos is to try to make it so your athlete performs better. If they don't feel some of those pressures, they will perform better. This isn't about trying to make it be anything other than that. We're talking about performance, absolutely. If they don't feel the weight of the world when they play, their performance will improve, and that's something I know that we all want when we're talking about mental performance. Is at the end of the day, all of our performance can improve if they're able to take some of that pressure off themselves.